Hey friends, Kim here from stampingimperfection.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm delighted that you are here. I have a fun card to share. I have a cute digital image from Kinda Cute by Patricia.com that I colored with my Copics, and I want to make a great background for it. So I want to make a Halloween night sky background. I decided I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I thought about stenciling something, but this background stamp that I have from Altenew, you can tell I use it all the time. I love it. It's called Moroccan Mosaics, and it's very well loved. I've used it so much. I love to emboss it and watercolor those little panels and just do great backgrounds with it. And you can see you get lots of sentiments and some little extra stamps there that go with it. And my favorite sentiment there is just breathe. I've been using that one a lot lately. So I'm going to heat emboss this in white because I want to do some ink blending. So I'm pulling out my Tailored Expressions blender brushes that I use just for my oxide inks, because remember, oxides are dye and pigment ink, so I have to have different brushes for those than I have for my other stuff. And I'm going to start with my Versamark ink. I still love my Versamark ink. It is my go-to embossing ink, and so I use this one all the time. And this is probably one of the 2 original pads that I've purchased. So I'm going to ink up my stamp, and it's hard to tell if you have all the parts, if you got everything. And I give it a good press from the other side too. And I noticed that the center I missed the center. It's okay. I'm going to work with it. I can put my image over it, or I can put my sentiment over it, or maybe it won't be that noticeable. I am not striving for perfection, and I'm just want to make a card that I think is beautiful and that I will be proud to send to someone. So I'm using white embossing powder and trying to make sure I get all the parts, and I heat set that with my heat tool. And now I'm going to do some ink blending. So I want to create a sky and a sidewalk that a ground beneath my little pumpkin head guy image. And so I'm using my 3M repositionable or removable post-it tape. I think this is the 2-inch tape. Let me just check that. This is the 2-inch tape, and I want to make about 1/3 the bottom and about 2/3 the top. So I started with Fossilized amber, and I used that in the center. And I want that brightness in the center, like the moon is behind my digital image, the image that I colored with my Copics. And for the ground, I added some rusty hinge around that. I just blended that into the Fossilized amber. And now I'm adding some pumice stone. I really like this combination for a night ground. And I thought it was really fun. I think it's a pretty fun fall combination, that Fossilized amber and the rusty hinge. So I'm just moving my tape down, and I always wipe off the ink because the ink actually sits on top. It doesn't get absorbed into that tape. So you want to keep that in mind so you don't get fingerprints on your project. So I always wipe it off, and it doesn't quite stick as well when I move it, but I just hold it down better. So I'm finished the top with the rest of the Fossilized amber, and now I'm going to pull out Chip Sapphire. This is one of my favorite oxide colors, and I'm going to do that all around the Fossilized amber, and I'm going to do that over the top of the Fossilized amber. I'm going to do it lightly over the top because I want to tone down that brightness in the center a little bit, and I just really want it to look like a glow. Around the edges, I'm putting some Seedless preserves, which is a really nice pinky purple color. I'll put a little bit of that in the center also. Again, I'm doing this for no other reason than I love that color under the Chip Sapphire. I just like the bright glow I get from that Seedless preserves. And I also love, one of the things I love about the oxides is that I can put that dark chip sapphire color over the fossilized amber and the seedless preserves, and I can still see a hint of that color and their brightness behind them. I just love the way that looks. So I do want this to look like a night sky, so I am taking my black soot and I'm adding it around the edges, especially of that top part of the card, and it's making it look more like a night sky. Now when I peel that off, that bottom is pretty bright, so I took the black soot that was left on my brush and just brushed it across the entire bottom just to tone down the brightness a little bit. I don't want it to go away, I just wanted to tone it down. Now I'm taking just a rag and I'm buffing the embossing part, because embossing is a resist technique, so when you put ink down on top of it, the ink does not stick to it. So you can buff it off and it'll brighten it back up. And now I spritzed it a couple times with my distress sprayer because I love this technique. These are water reactive inks. Why not do this? It's so much fun. Plus it makes it look a little bit like there are stars back there. So I love it. It's just a great extra layer to put on. So to finish off my card, I took that panel that I made and I die cut it with, I just got these in the mail today actually. These are these scalloped rectangles stitched frames or something like that from mftstamps.com. Now I am not going to fib. I expected that to come out as one piece. Instead it came out as a scalloped frame with a stitched edge in the centerpiece, and I really wanted it to be all one piece. This is the pumpkin head digital image that I colored with my Copics from Kinda Cute by Patricia.com. I will link this below. She has the cutest images. I love her images. They're so fun to color. So my card base is black. It is 4 1/4 by 11. I scored it at 5.5. Now I'm going to make this work because I really like this little scallop frame with that stitched edge. So I also die cut a piece of craft foam, and I'm going to use a craft foam just under the frame part. And since it's kind of thin and I'm going to need to fuss with it to line it up, I'm using liquid adhesive, so that'll give me time to actually fuss with it and get it aligned. And I use the black foam because I'm using a black card panel, and when you look at it from the side, you'll just see that continuous black, and it will look nicer than if I used white or something else. So I'm going to actually use my tape runner. This is the Altenew tape runner, and I like this a lot because this is temporary until you really push it down. So it also gives me time to fuss with it when I put it on my card base. So I like to open up my card base to put the top layers on, and see, I can peel that up because I haven't pushed it down. Once you push it down, it's pretty permanent. I have not had this stuff peel apart once I push it down. So I still want to use that centerpiece. So I'm going to put this down directly on my card base. I'm not putting foam under this part, and I'm using this double-sided adhesive, and this I believe is 1/2 inch adhesive. This is from Elizabeth Crafts, and I quite like her double-sided adhesives. I've been using them for quite a while, and they stick really well. Plus she often has sales on them, so I like that. So I'm going to just line this up just as if I never die cut them apart accidentally. And I love that I can see that little tiny black frame between my scalloped edge and that centerpiece. I think that's an interesting look. So it's a happy accident. I'm adding some 3M foam tape to the back of my pumpkin head guy, and I'm not gonna lie, this pumpkin head reminds me so much of the episode of The Office where Dwight put the pumpkin on his head that I just laugh every time I look at it. It just makes me laugh because I think of it. If you are a fan of The Office, you know what I'm talking about. So I decided to put him off to the side so I can fit a sentiment in, and I love the way this is looking. That is a fantastic background for that little image. So I stamped just with my Altenew Fine Detail Black ink onto a piece of white cardstock from the Lost to Say stamp set from Concord and Ninth. And I actually got that as a freebie with a qualifying order. And it's one of my favorite stamp sets. Sentiment sets specifically. This is $8 and it's got a sentiment for almost every occasion I can think of. I love this. I use it all the time, and they have different type faces for the different sentiments, so it's pretty cool. So that completes my card. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to put all the links below. Please give this video a thumbs up while you're here. And if you have not subscribed, please subscribe and click that bell. And when you click that bell, right click and click all notifications so you get notifications every time I upload a video. And make sure you stop by my blog at stampingimperfection.com and sign up for my newsletter, DIY Papercrafting Weekly Project Tutorials, so you get tutorials delivered to your email from me a couple times a month. And I'll put the links below to all of the Kinda Cute by Patricia Alvarez stuff, because you will love browsing through her images. They are amazing. Thank you for watching, my friend, and have a fantastic day.